Here's an interesting statistic that may stun you. When we started the show October 1, 1962, the total population of the Earth was 3,100,000,000 people. This summer, it is 5,500,000,000 people, which is a net increase of 2,400,000,000 people, which should give us some cause. More amazing statistic is that half of those 2,400,000,000 people will soon have their own late-night TV show.
We saw a naked man riding a bicycle, and another with a pet, a dog, and we laughed.
Are you watching Better Call Saul?
No.
This is Brad LaChance. Brad LaChance is here with us. Brad LaChance auditioned for Breaking Bad, didn't you?
Yeah.
They ended up going with an actor from Los Angeles. Better Call Saul, I'm really enjoying it. Of course, Saul Goodman, otherwise known as Jimmy McGill. The story sort of revolves around him, but it also revolves about Mike Ehrmantraut, the former police officer who's sort of almost like a...
His last name is fucking Ehrmantraut?
Hermantraut or something like that?
Okay.
Do you remember him, the bald guy?
Is he the lawyer?
He's almost like a hitman. He sort of does dirty work for this cartel. Okay. I don't know. But we're getting into it. Of course, Better Call Saul is a prequel to Breaking Bad, so we're seeing what happens beforehand. And there's an interesting dynamic between Saul, who's sort of a lifelong loser, a guy, a grifter, a con man. His brother, Chuck McGill, a successful lawyer. He gets Jimmy a job in the mailroom. Jimmy wants to become a lawyer. Jimmy becomes a lawyer, and now Chuck is threatened. Of course, Chuck has a whole laundry list of issues besides that. He won't go outside. He won't allow any electrical devices in his realm. Is it seriously, like he covers himself in aluminum foil? Is it psychosomatic? Is there something really going on? Is he really sensitive to electricity? What's going on with that?
He could have a sensory disorder.
Possible.
Yes.
Now, Chuck... Okay, as we start season 3, Chuck...
Oh, wait, it's been on for 3 years?
I think 2 years, but season 3.
Okay.
And... Chuck recorded Jimmy's... because Jimmy sabotaged him. He sabotaged Chuck in order to get a high-level account for his girlfriend, Kim Wexler. Copy and paste situation at Kinko's at a 24-hour... I shouldn't say Kinko's, but at a 24-hour copy center. Chuck was onto him from the beginning. See, it's one of those things. I'm not doing it justice. You've got to watch the show. The show will be on tomorrow on AMC. Are you going to be near a television?
I believe it. No, I don't think I'm able to do that because I don't think I have the channel. But I'm going to find a way to see this.
What's going on in your world?
Oh, that conversation is null and void. No, I'll tell you this. I finally filed for divorce, so that's a good thing.
How long have you been separated?
A year and a half. Not legally separated.
What's going on in Nola's world? I saw that she's moving.
Yeah, they're moving closer to my mom.
See you later.
Yeah. You should get her on the show and talk to her. She'd probably appreciate it.
I'd love to have a Nola on. Can you give me a number? I'll call her up right now.
Just send her a post on Facebook, and I'm sure she would follow through with it. But
they're giving up that nice home.
No, they didn't give up anything. They sold it. You see, that's how it works. Actually, there was no giving up. There was no giving up at all. They had bought it for a price, and many years later, they had received a much higher price.
Is that possible?
For some odd fucking reason, it seems to be people want to live in Carbondale.
Why do people want to live in Carbondale? This is Carbondale, Colorado that we're talking about. Why?
Image.
It's also horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Horrible things are happening in Denver as well. Jerry's talked about how people want to move to Carbondale. He stated that, but the same thing is happening in Denver on a macro level.
Where does Jerry live?
Glenwood Springs, I believe.
Okay. All right. Glenwood's good.
Glenwood has a little bit more life.
A little less pompous.
You feel Carbondale is more pompous than Glenwood?
I would think. I don't know because I haven't been there in 20 years.
Oh, it shifted because when we lived there, it was not.
Yeah.
It was like it was where the white trash live, and some hippies, and some Mexicans.
A lot of Mexicans.
But now you're saying it's getting well. I think the problem with Colorado is this: the reefer thing was a huge problem. We're like a Portland, like you said. We're like seen as like a Portland or something, like an outdoorsy type place. But they're progressive. Well, we didn't know it was progressive. We just thought it was backwater. We thought it was Wyoming. We just thought you were in the middle of nowhere. Oh, but like even if they don't smoke weed, they view it as, oh, this must be progressive. And that I think that
like evolutionary.
Yeah. Like Portland, the way that you think about Portland, like we've never been to Portland, but we have an image of how it is. San Francisco, and I think they think like, oh, these mountains. There are no mountains in Denver. It's flat. It's pathetic. Yeah. It's a farmland.
Oh wow! So you're not so pro Denver no more, huh?
Not as far as its geology and its geography. I think if you go to Portland, I could be wrong about that, but it's like these rolling hills, nice pine trees everywhere. Or it's you can feel the nature. Denver, it's like you've got the Rockies and boom, it's over, and you're basically in Kansas. And Denver's built on the Kansas part of it.
Okay.
I mean, am I wrong?
Well, no. I just never thought about it in those terms. But so you feel disillusioned?
Well, we're an ampile. It's an ampile. It's a mini New York, I like to call it. We're all clustered together on top of each other.
That's not good.
Well, even down here in Littleton, if you go to like Ken Carl, you have hills that diffuse the energy, so you don't feel all these people. You don't feel all the congestion. You go to LA, you're probably not going to feel the congestion as much. You're certainly not going to feel it in the San Diego area, or maybe even Albuquerque if you have some nice hills that sort of disrupt that. But when you have the Rockies ending so drastically and then moving into just complete open space where you can build everywhere, a lot of congestion, a lot of traffic, and a lot of headaches.
The traffic is worse now?
Yes, it's horrible. Horrible.
So you say it's almost agoraphobic.
Rude people, very rude people. Chipotle used to be an unbelievable experience. I would order in Spanish. Everyone's happy. Starbucks was an amazing experience. These experiences are hellish now. The rudeness.
Yeah.
You can't talk to them. They're upset for good reason. They've got to deal with rude people all day. They're rude themselves. There's a lot of negativity flowing.
Oh, man. So what's the solution?
The solution is Albuquerque.
Really?
The solution is Salt Lake City. The solution is Boise. The solution is escape. Escape to wherever you can. But I hope there's a decent shopping mall close by.
Nothing like Cherry Creek, no. Nothing like Cherry Creek.
Cherry Creek now has paid parking. Stores are closing because what would happen is people would go into Cherry Creek and just hang out all day like I used to, not buy anything. They're trying to capitalize off this. Now the stores are closing because people aren't shopping there. Where are they going? Where are they getting their clothing if not at Cherry Creek? I don't understand.
I don't know, man.
Can you try to make this interview entertaining? I'm failing here. I feel like I've been really boring.
Well, you could listen back and then decide not to post it. What would John Elway think?
John Elway wouldn't post it.
Well, what would he think about the situation of Denver today?
I think he's upset. He's a Republican. I think he's angered by the reefer. I think he's angered by all the scum. You know, even if he sees them just briefly as he's driving into Cherry Hills, he probably tries to avoid Hampton. Hampton, of course, that's, as you well know, that's where almost the ghetto. It's like a border between Cherry Hills and Inglewood. And they're right there. They're right next to each other. And I'm sure John Elway is sickened by it.
So if I'm visiting, if I go back to Denver, and it's been 9 years, maybe 10, about I think 9 years. Is it more? It's more congested.
Yeah, and there's a lot more crazy people like riding the light rail. There's people that like you can tell that they just arrived hitchhiking, and there's people on heroin
From
everywhere.
Where?
I see
Where?
Anywhere in the country. A lot of people in the Midwest, like it's really everywhere. You see LA people, the crazy LA people with the tattoos, where you just know they're not from. I mean, we're getting people from everywhere in just huge amounts.
But why?
Marijuana, cigarettes.
That's a
And the richer people was like, oh, that must be a progressive area. And this website told me that it was the fittest city back in 2007. So I'm going to be able to hook up with, I can't say have sex because my wife might be listening, but with fit women who smoke reefer. How can we do better than that? But there's a heroin epidemic, and they're coming from everywhere. They're just people completely out of their minds riding the light rail. You saw that guy that I almost got into a confrontation with, right?
The heroin chick guy, yeah.
There are people like that.
Wait.
That's almost like the norm.
Start? When did this epidemic start, though?
When marijuana was legalized, I went to a marijuana retailer just to video it on the day that it became legal, and I expected it to be like the Twilight Zone. You wake up and everything's different. Everything was not different. Everything was bizarrely the same. 2 years later, after people kind of got their money together and said, I'm moving to Colorado, things have become very, very different.
Wow. Oh, shit.
You're lucky to be where you are, believe me. Britannia Heights, where you live, that's probably a $1,000 apartment now.
What?
Yeah, that expensive.
Wow. I always told people that I wouldn't want to be in a huge city, but like the biggest city I could tolerate would be Denver.
I'd like you to take a look at Denver now and see what you think about it.
I might do that.
When was the last time you were here?
7 years.
I bet you're going to see some
7
changes.
years. Yeah.
I'm going to end the interview. We can talk off the record. Again, everybody, Brad LaChance, thank you very much. Anything you want to plug?
No, there's nothing to plug.
Okay.
There's nothing to plug.